The Ink and Paint Club podcast is intended for mature audiences. I know we're usually talking about kids' cartoons and stuff, but there's going to be naughty language. Anyway, listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast, your weekly home for animation reviews and discussions.
Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to the Ink and Paint Club podcast. I'm your host, JD, and with me is... Jesus, you haven't been on this... I don't even know the last time you were on this show, but...
I think a Digimon episode. No, Final Fantasy.
No, that's right. Yeah. Wow, it's been long. Anyway, Ariel's back.
Hi, I'm back.
Yay!
Yay!
Ariel's here because she's one of the few people that knows dick all about wrestling, so...
Yay, wrestling!
Yay! So just a few quick things. Sorry about being absent for the last 2 weeks. We had some scheduling hiccups, so... Sadly, we didn't get to review Incredibles 2, and we missed the 30th anniversary of Roger Rabbit, so I'm kind of bummed about that, but... Oh well. Yeah. But this week is going to be kicking off what I'm affectionately calling Ink and Paint Club Goes to Summer Camp Month.
Nice.
Yeah. Because all this month we're going to be talking about shows and TV movies of shows that take place at summer camp, because it's July and that's when kids go to summer camp. So
it is true.
Yeah. So this week, because Ariel knows wrestling things and I have very limited knowledge of wrestling things, we're going to be talking about Camp WWE.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I know a little. I mean, I know enough.
You at least watch wrestling.
My other half. Well, I've watched it long enough, and I get into it enough that I know there was a lot of Easter eggs that if you didn't know, you wouldn't know.
Right. I'm sure there's a lot of things I'm missing, because there's a few characters that pop up here and there. It's like, I don't know who that is, but okay.
Yeah.
So basically, to just give you a background on this show, Seth Green, the guy, well, he's an actor, and he, makes Robot Chicken, which is still going on, which amazes me.
I know.
But yeah, he partnered with WWE and is like, hey, we're going to make this adult-oriented show, which I thought was kind of weird, because I thought that, wrestling was supposed to be at least semi-family-friendly, but sometimes. But this show definitely is.
They're allowing bleeding again, so.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, Seth Green partnered with WWE and he's like, hey, we're going to make this adult show and we're going to, turn all the wrestlers into kids and send them to summer camp, and it's going to be vulgar and all kinds of fun stuff. So, yeah, you got a lot of staples of WWE, like Vince McMahon is the camp. He's the head of the camp.
Yeah.
And I have to say I love him so much.
He is so perfect. His character is just so... It's just fantastic. And yeah. I love that one of the key things is whenever he walks around the camp, he does his No Chance in Hell walk. If you've ever seen him, if you've ever watched any wrestling, yeah. He's doing this big, his whole body is moving his legs. It is the greatest thing. And everywhere he walks in this, that's what he does.
That's just his walk cycle. And then you've got teenage versions of Stephanie and Triple H as camp counselors, which is kind of funny.
And possibly Mark Henry. I can't tell if he's a teenager or not.
I think Mark Henry's one of the kids.
It's very weird who they chose to be kids and who they chose to be teenagers.
It is.
Because, or even, I don't know, because, one of the kids is Steve Austin, but one thing you'll notice is, some of the people that pop up, they're all legends and they're all adults, except for one.
Yeah.
And I don't know why all the legends are adults except for The Rock and Steve Austin.
Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of weird because they also made Ric Flair and Sergeant Slaughter into The camp
counselors.
counselors too.
The best.
I love them. There's one scene, I think it's in the first episode, where like Vince is going on about this homesickness is like a disease or whatever.
Yes.
And he like plans on trying to kill John Cena. So Sergeant Slaughter just pops out of the top of a thing with a cannon. He's gonna fucking.
It plays his fucking theme music.
It does.
He, like, comes all the way up, and he like starts to pull this fucking cannon out, and then he like turns his watch again, and it like reverses his theme music, and he goes back down. And then for like the rest of the episode, it cuts back into him, and he's like so mad, and he's like, I think this thing's broken. Like, better get paid overtime for this shit.
Yeah. But yeah, then you got a lot of the kids where the main ones are like, you got John Cena, who's like the main character, and I like that he's like this plucky, naive little kid. Like, I started watching wrestling off and on again, like after John Cena left for the most part. I mean, I started watching like last summer, so
Yeah.
I don't know too much of John Cena beyond like what little acting I've seen him do.
He's basically like, I like to call him like Jesus or Superman. It's really freaking agitating because when he first appeared, when you first saw him, it was an immediate split. Either people loved him or hated him. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of kept going from there, which also in the beginning you'll notice when it's him and R-Truth, they spray paint, let's go Cena, Cena sucks. That's like the mockery to the crowd because that's all it is it's always a 50-50 split. Right. And his character really is perfect because it speaks to John. John as a person is so sweet and so nice and so caring, and he's such a do-good little piece of shit, and everyone hates him. Like, there's even one of the episodes they're like, you realize that all of us hate you, right? Yeah. And then like another, I think it's in the same episode or an episode later, it was like Vince McMahon is like, I convinced I convinced John Cena that all the campers hate him. Like, no, they just already hate him.
It's like, I feel bad for him because everyone shits on him. He's just like this nice little kid, and
that's just exactly who John Cena is. Like, yeah. He is such a nice guy, and he does such great stuff for the community. And if like you ever get bored, look up all of his BuzzFeed articles and videos because they're hilarious. Because he is just so nice and he's so great, but like, I don't know, you just love to
he's that him. Annoying kind of nice.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you said a minute ago, I don't know who R-Truth is. Is he on Raw or something? Is that why I don't know who he is?
I don't know where he is right now, actually. He is, he's nothing right now.
Okay. He's just one of those, like, it was probably popular when we started making this cartoon, then he kind of just disappeared.
If you ever... Well, okay, he's one of those people that, like, everyone still remembers him and stuff, and he's still fresh enough that people still love him, but I don't know. I don't think he's really doing anything. I think he's what we call a professional jobber at this point.
Gotcha.
Along with people like Dolph Ziggler, who they're still trying to, glass ceiling, all that shit. No, he's nothing. He's a jobber.
He's so annoying.
So, yeah, he's, like, basically a very well-paid jobber at this point.
Gotcha.
He's basically used for people to... so that they can make their career.
Gotcha.
Which is sad.
Yeah.
But the episode where he talks about his song, that's actually his theme.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Yes, that is his theme. That's the only thing he ever comes out to, and he does sing to it. But there's actually, if you ever get the chance, if you have the WWE Network, or if you want, I have it, there's actually a gimmick he has. It's my favorite gimmick of all time of his, and it's about Little Jimmy. And he loses his freaking mind, and he goes completely crazy, and he talks about this little guy named Little Jimmy, and Little Jimmy tells him everything to do.
Oh.
And it's this imaginary crazy kid, and it reminds me very much of the time when you and I, like, used to talk about the little pirate man from Shonen Jump.
Oh,
Same concept.
That's a long inside joke, everybody, that goes back to me and Ariel in high school.
Yes, it is.
That I'm not entirely sure I remember all the details to.
I don't either, but we were very childish and crazy, so if that tells you anything, it's R-Truth's crazy childish inside.
We were weird.
We were very weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, less weird things, more children.
Yeah, so you've also got... Steve Austin, who is a beer chugging 8-year-old with permanent 5 o'clock shadow.
I love that they actually finally. in one of the episodes, because I actually rewatched these all today to make sure I was nice and fresh for this.
Mm-hmm.
But he's in the bar, and they're like, "You've had enough, 8-year-old." He's like, "I'm 7." And then they kicked him out of the bar because that's what mattered. But I don't know.
Giving beer to a child.
I know. I think there's also Vince also tries to sell him for a beer commercial, and they're like, "Of course, he's a mature 7." Like,
Sure.
but this is one of the ones I don't understand why he's a kid, unless it's just the fact that he's a nuisance and annoying to Vince. And it seems a lot of the camp is very Austin-centric, but I also think that's because when this started to come out, is I think when the new Austin era began and all of his talk shows and everything popped up, and he was on the cover of 2K16, I believe. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why it's so Austin-centric, but it took me a minute to figure that out.
Yeah.
But it is really heavy Austin-centric. He's a horrible kid.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. And I absolutely love his episode with him and Warrior, and I actually rewatched it with Alan before he passed out.
He just like goes out into the forest to find the Ultimate Warrior. And the Ultimate Warrior is just some crazy guy in a cabin. That
is the Ultimate Warrior. That character is spot on. Alan and I actually had to look it up to see if that was actually him. We were like, we're not sure if he died before. Apparently he died in pre-production, and this is someone else. But he got perfect.
Yeah, I was pretty sure Ultimate Warrior is dead. I'm like on Wikipedia just making sure I remember all the characters. The guy who voices Ultimate Warrior is the guy who's the announcer in Super Smash Brothers.
Yes, he is.
That's awesome.
And he does so perfect. He does his skronk all the time. That skronking. That's the professional term for that. And it's just perfect. And then Austin does his own little skronking. And then Warrior tells him that he's going to have his own IPA when he grows up. There's so many weird jokes. The most disgusting episode, I mentioned Mark Henry at the beginning of this. Mm-hmm. That was a disgusting episode.
Which one was that?
The flourless cake. And he gave birth to the food baby.
Oh god, yeah. Like where John Cena's like like walking him through a food baby.
So weird, like I don't even know. Like he's like some like what is that called? When you're a mother but you're not a mother. Yes. Like, what the hell? What is even happening?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Then just some of the other main kids that show up. You got, like, the Bella twins are in there. Yeah, they're just kind of, annoying little girls. The Undertaker is there, and he's just, like, the resident goth kid. And sleeps in a coffin.
He goes out into nature, and he's talking about how much he hates nature. And then he becomes friends with a squirrel, and then the squirrel gets eaten and he hates nature again.
Yeah. Paige shows up every now and then. Big Show is in there a lot.
Big Show's hilarious.
Yeah, I think that's most of the ones. The Rock shows up for like an episode, and then he's like in the background. And then it's weird because they'll focus on like 6 or 7 like main characters, but then there's a lot of characters in the background that are
Go ahead. Yeah, what I could pick out was Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Rusev, Becky,
Kevin Owens. Yeah, Kevin's in there sometimes. Well, it's weird because if you go on like Tumblr and look up this show, I mean, there's plenty of pictures that show, oh hey, here's the character design for the show. Next to the the wrestler, so I know there's like one for Charlotte and all that stuff. I don't know if she's been in the backgrounds, but yeah, they have all the designs for all these kids. So it's like I'm hoping some of these other kids that haven't gotten an episode to, be on yet, maybe they'll bring him in. But
has it been renewed? They only do like 4 or 5 episodes a season.
There's 2 5-episode seasons out right now. I think I'm missing an episode or 2 from this most recent season that came out.
Okay.
Because it was weird for the longest time. I thought it was canceled because they did the first season back in spring of 2016. And then just like out of nowhere, I saw like on Twitter or something like, "Hey, new episodes of Camp WWE are up," and like it's been 2 years.
I think it's because, and Alan and I were talking about this because I was asking him. I was like, "Hey, have you seen any of these?" He's like, "I think I've seen an episode or two," and he's like, "I know I've seen one of the cartoons, and it was the one where they tell stories, and I think that took precedence for a while. Which, if you haven't seen that too, I would check out. But yeah, I don't know why it kind of took a background unless Seth Green just had his hands tied with other things.
Maybe. I'm sure he's plenty busy with whatever all he does.
Lots of Robot Chicken.
Yeah, I mean it pays his thing, and I guess he has to go do Family Guy every now and then.
Yeah.
Because he's roped in that for life.
I forgot that still existed. Actually, you know what? I did watch the newest season. It was good, but we're not here about that.
Yeah. So. But yeah, I mean this show is just it's like. I used to watch wrestling a little bit when I go to my mom's house as a kid, so I knew like a lot of the old people. Like I know who Goldberg is, and I know.
Why is he mute?
I don't know. Oh,
why is he mute?
Wait.
No, Goldust.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking of.
That's right. Yeah, because Goldust is
mute.
like Vince McMahon's manservant.
Which I don't understand. It's so weird. There's even an episode. Now, there is an episode where there's a cutaway gag, and unless you knew, you wouldn't know, where he's like dancing back and forth on this like swing or something with his long gold wig. So do you know what Goldust's actual original thing was?
I don't know anything about Goldust.
He's gay. Like, this is like a drag queen style weirdness. So this was back in the 90s when that was like... Or like Attitude Era when it's like, ooh, someone could be a woman but a man.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. So it's one of those weird gimmicks that like never went away, but like it's not talked about anymore.
Oh, okay.
So I don't understand why he doesn't talk though.
I don't know. It's very strange. He's just sometimes in the background when Vince McMahon is in his office, and just like he just randomly tells Goldust to do things.
And he talks for him.
Yeah, exactly.
But you were saying Goldberg.
I know Goldberg. I know who Steve Austin is. Pretty much anyone who was on SmackDown in like the late 90s to early 2000s, I kind of know. But I'm just like now more in the last year getting more familiarized with who's like on the show and stuff. I only watch SmackDown occasionally. I don't watch like Raw or whatever other shows they have.
Do you watch any of the pay-per-views?
I try to keep up with those. I think I even started with the most recent Hell in the Cell. I think that's about where I started.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so that whole thing with good. Kevin Owens and Shane.
Oh, Shane.
Yeah, Shane. That was like, oh, okay, so that's a thing, I guess.
That's certainly a thing.
Yeah, so I don't think
you came in a weird age.
Yeah, I don't think I watched Royal Rumble, but I did watch WrestleMania this year. That was a slog. That was 6 hours.
Yeah, that's what happens when you split two shows up stupidly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think WrestleMania is where I need to. I've seen like an episode or two of SmackDown since then. I don't think I got to the part where they do the shake up. So
really?
I gotta get back on that at some point.
I pretty much either watch the catch ups on Hulu or I read it. I read the results constantly.
Yeah.
But that's about, unless I'm actually excited about something, I don't usually watch it anymore.
Yeah.
But I know enough from years of relationships with wrestling people, honestly.
Gotcha.
And they kind of got me into it. And I started officially watching it in 2006 and have been keeping up with it since.
Gotcha.
So
yeah,
these characters I definitely know.
Yeah. I probably said it on the show before, but I've got a friend, Matt, who listens to the show and is a very good guy, but he's very much into wrestling and will send me videos of like, here's this thing that happened. And I'm like, that's cool. And he kind of finally convinced me to check it out because he's like, here's my WWE Network password. Go watch the things. I'm like, okay, I'll go do that, I guess. So it's fun. It's really stupid background noise, but I don't know. I think because this is like a cartoon and it's like a weirdly adult cartoon, like this show gets to some weird places.
It does.
Like there's an entire episode recently where all the guys are in the pool with their dicks.
So you don't know that character either.
Which one?
But the Godfather.
Oh yeah, I don't know who the
comes
Godfather
out,
is.
With anyone that knows wrestling, oh my god! I really wish Alan was awake right now because we were literally just talking about him and his very controversial like gimmick and everything. Definitely had a bunch of prostitutes. Think like I don't know how to explain this. You just gotta like type in the Godfather in network and just watch him because he's just such a unique character and. Oh my god, yes. So he didn't tell them about the birds and bees, but he did teach them about, what was it, pimps and hoes?
Right. Yeah, because all the guy kids are like in the pool with their dicks in the jets of the pool.
My favorite thing is when they walk up to R-Truth. I don't remember what was said to him, but he just says, "I live here now," and they're like, "Okay," and then he says it again, and he's like, "You just said that." He's like, "I don't think you understand. I live here now." It's just so great.
Oh my god. And I love there's an episode where they bring Triple H's dad and he's just Quadruple H and he's like this fucking like...
Which is Triple H.
Yeah, it's actually Triple H.
By Triple H.
Yeah, because it's weird because it's like only if the characters are an adult do they actually have like the actual person voice them, but if they're a kid they get someone else to do it.
Yeah, I mean it's cool. But no, also in that episode, one of my favorite little jokes is they have the Royal Rumble clock come down when guests come over. So, and then like it starts to count down and it hits 5 and Stephanie's like, "Oh, can you guys count him down?" So they actually count him down and then his music drops and he's like, "It's Vince." So excited.
This is a crazy
like he's
man.
always wanted this. It's so great. I love he just has so many great things. Like when he's in bed, he sleeps in his suit with a blanket that looks like him, with a wrestling, I think they're called battle buddies or something like that looks like him.
Well, there's an episode where he has like his comforter, because there's like he's like under his comforter peeking out, and the pattern on his blanket is him peeking out from under the covers. See,
and then there's one where he like talks about, he goes like they're walking through his house and there's like a history of McMahon's and it has like Vince Bonaparte and Vince Washington, and he's like, "I'm trying to get Vince Oprah, but that one's really expensive." Like he's got this whole history rewritten by Vince.
See, it's one of those character tropes I don't think about too much, but I absolutely love, is the crazy self-obsessed rich person.
But the thing is that really is Vince.
I know. That's what makes it just like I don't know, just like one of the first things you're introduced to him is like, to show he's kind of a shitbag, is that he's like he's stealing all the care packages from the kids. He's going through one of them and he just pulls out a bra. It's like, "I can't wear this probably."
Probably.
He's like,
and then
he thinks about it.
At the end of the episode, he's like, "I've never had kids of my own or a real home." And his daughter's like, "What the fuck, Dad?" And he's like, "Oh, you're right. That house in Malibu. I guess that's home." Like, what the fuck? Right next to him. Stephanie, Shane, no real kids though.
Right. Yeah, that's the weird thing. Stephanie's the only one that they've shown. They haven't shown any of the other kids, or I don't know how many else he has.
Well, Shane, but Shane doesn't really matter. So.
Shane just matters when they need to make a hissy fit on SmackDown.
Pretty much. Yeah. He only matters when he's like, Dad, I want to jump off something. I'm going to jump off Hell in a Cell. You really shouldn't do that. I'm going to do it. I'm going to jump off a Titantron. You really shouldn't. You know what? I'm going to do it.
I'm going to jump off a 20-story or 2-story steel cage onto a table.
And the Hell in a Cell, yeah.
Yeah, and he did that. And I think he almost died.
He probably did.
Yeah, because he's fucking old.
There's a story where Foley has done a very similar situation, and he almost died.
Oh, God.
So.
Yeah. But I do like that beyond, like, the characters and some of, like, the references and stuff, like, this show doesn't, like, you need to know wrestling things, or it doesn't, like, shoehorn, like wrestling as a plot point into this. It's like they're not wrestlers; they're just like kids that have weird names, and it's called Camp WWE for no real reason.
Yeah, which I like. Like, it was really cute, and but there actually is a gag that talks about what they're doing, and it's when he is tricking Steve Austin. You may or may not have seen this one. It's one of the newer ones.
Mm-hmm.
He tricks Steve Austin by leaving Camp WWE.
Mm-hmm.
So they can get his cabin carpeted again, I guess, because I guess that Steve Austin was peeing on all the maids and made them quit. So, so he tricks Steve Austin. He goes and finds a new family, and basically the whole thing was like, lost my train of thought here. Ah, crap! I forgot. I really had something there. Anyway. But there's just a lot of, like, oh, the chick talks about, like, Child Fight Club. She's like, the first rule of Child Fight Club is you don't talk about Child Fight Club, but I'm mad at you for hiding it from me. But yeah, it's like, it's the only little thing they mention about the fact that it's wrestling.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's really nothing.
Yeah. It's just, it's goofy, occasionally vulgar hijinks, and they kind of play into what I assume is the actual in-ring personalities of these people, but like, you know, made to fit into like a child archetype.
Yeah. Everyone's pretty spot on.
Yeah. I mean, I like that Ric Flair is like, he's always in a bathrobe.
Okay, no, that's his robe. It's not
I
a
know,
bathrobe.
it's funny because it just looks like a big pink bathrobe that he's just constantly in. He's never in anything else.
It took me a minute. It took me a long time, and it took Alan to point it out for me. I was like, can't figure out why he's barefoot. He's like, well, it's supposed to be that he's naked underneath. I was like, oh, right, because he's known for doing that.
He's the nature boy. But I like that he's like sexually promiscuous. He's always going off and doing stuff with ladies, and then like Sergeant Slaughter's like probably the most down-to-earth person on the show.
Yeah, no, that's literally 100% the Ric person, and actually probably Ric Flair's actual personality.
Yeah,
he's very promiscuous. He did a music video recently called with Exhibit called Ric Flair Drip.
Oh, which
like I can still imagine this day that his daughter was like, Charlotte was like, Dad, do you have any idea what this is saying? And he's just like, hell yeah. Oh, it's very, very nasty. Yeah. But it's a very great video and you should watch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot to enjoy if you don't watch wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, if you do watch wrestling, or if you especially have been a wrestling fan for a long time, there's a lot of really good Easter eggs. One of my favorite Easter eggs is when, in the same episode that he goes to find the warrior, Sergeant Slaughter is using his helmet in the porta potty to dig his way out. And I don't know if you caught it, but there's a little football in there. It's at XFL.
Oh, yeah, because they're going to bring back the XFL.
WWE's NFL.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, I did get a laugh out of that.
Like, yeah. So we actually took it and just threw it in the porta potty where it fucking belongs. But yeah, there was some really good references in there.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that's a good way to do this kind of a show where it's accessible for people who don't know anything about the source material. It's still pretty funny. The characters are all everyone's kind of a shitheel, except for John Cena, who's just kind of a shitheel in a different way.
Yeah.
But everyone's an asshole on this show. But it's funny, and, if you don't know anything about wrestling, I think you'd still get a laugh out of it. But like Ariel said, if you do know things about wrestling, I'm sure there's 1,000 Easter eggs in there that it will kind of, I guess, enhance the experience. Because I think I was watching an interview like before the show came out that Seth Green was going, like, I've been a fan of wrestling, and everyone here on the show is, and so I'm sure everyone making the show is just like, oh, let's throw this reference in, because I think they've got the blessing from the WWE to pretty much just do whatever the hell they want.
They did the episode with the 4 horsemen, which none of them talked except for Ric Flair and the horse for some reason.
Because why not?
Yeah, it's like, there's a book to Space Mountain. There's like, I was sitting there like trying to point all of them out because there's just so many great little things in there. The episode with Bray made me want to vomit.
Oh yeah, the fucking Bray Wyatt. He's so
Nasty
greasy
ass.
looking.
Your eyes! Ah, you can see some hazel in them, can't you? No, there's fleas in them! Ah.
He's so gross.
Nasty.
And I just love the episode where they just bring The Rock in and he's just like this fucking golden boy that everybody loves, and John Cena's like, I love the
Cena,
he like has the permanent
Cena,
eye
Rock,
patch.
and Brie, I think, are the only quote good people in there.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because Nikki's a piece of shit.
yeah, that's right. Because they had the whole episode where Nikki was kind of being a piece of shit to Brie, and she like tries to get her to not be.
Which is pretty much spot on for their whole character arc.
Mhm.
So, and possibly them off screen too. I don't really know. I never watched the Bella show, but from what I understand, prior to watching this, there's a lot of leads to things that happened in the Bella show. So,
So
but I don't know.
yeah. So if you just like a funny, vulgar show about kids at camp, I'm sure you would enjoy this. But if you're also a wrestling
Absolutely.
fan, then you probably already watched this, to be perfectly honest.
Or if you're just a Steve Austin fan,
That's
because
true.
he does have fans outside of WWE too, and if you just like him, he's enough like pretty focused in this show that I think you'll get a good kick out of it.
Yeah, he appears pretty much every episode, and he's always drinking a beer, flipping people off, and you have to censor half of what he says.
It's pretty great.
Yeah. So unfortunately, the only way you can really watch this is if you subscribe to the WWE network. And I say only way, and by that I mean in a legal way.
You know,
I'm not going to make decisions for you. But yeah, I think if you're in the mood for just kind of a raunchy kids cartoon, then I think this is something fun to check out. I like I said, I have very limited wrestling knowledge, but I get a kick out of this show, and I want to finish up the second season here eventually.
yeah. I mean, it's really, if you're looking for a short thing to just binge watch. I mean, I did it today just to refresh.
Yeah, like right now there's only 10 half-hour episodes, so I mean you can kick it out in an afternoon.
Yeah.
So there you go. Ariel, is there anything else you want to say about the show before we get going?
Not really. I mean, it was, when I first saw it come out, I thought it was going to be crap, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
But I gave it a chance the first time, watched a couple episodes, got a kick out of it, and then I actually started kind of slowly watching them. And even just today, rewatching them, I realized, there's enough humor there that if they came out with another season, I would totally watch it.
Yeah. So hopefully it won't be another 2 years. So make sure
It probably will.
Make sure you tell Seth Green to get on it.
I will. I'll call him right after this.
Okay, we'll get right on
And remind
that.
him.
Yeah. So, cool. Well, yeah, guys. So that's our review for Camp WWE. Check it out if if you feel like it. Ariel, thanks for being on the show with me. It was
Yeah, of course.
It was nice to actually talk to someone who knows anything about wrestling. So
You're welcome.
yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
And I totally recommend, if you do watch this show and aren't a wrestling fan and you find things that are funny, just look up the character and watch a couple of matches, because chances are that'll get you hooked enough.
There you go. So yeah, that about does it for this week. Come back next week. We're doing more summer camp activities all month long, so stay tuned for that. But until then, we'll catch you all later.
See ya!
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Ink and Paint Club podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can catch a new episode every week. Also be sure to follow us on our Facebook and Twitter so you can keep up with the show. Links are in the description. We'll see you next week.